Welcome to the Hokie Hoops podcast. I'm your host, Pete B. I've got Ed Williams and Mike McDaniel here. This is our second season of this trio, gentlemen. And if you guys don't know who Mike is, Mike does the Hokie Hangover. He also works for SI. He's a little bit more legit than Ed and I. And Ed is the resident tech basketball aficionado. He's has some relationships that are here and some are gone, but Ed knows his stuff when it comes to Han Hurst. And I'm just a guy. I'm just here to host the show and steer in the right direction and have the occasional bad opinion. But we will be coming to you most weeks, if not every week, during this basketball season. And tonight is our 2025-2026 Virginia Tech men's basketball season preview. So I'm pumped to have you guys here. How you feeling?
Very excited. Today's Thursday, first game on Monday. It's very exciting times. College basketball is back.
Yes, sir. We went over the roster in detail on our show last week, broke down each of the guys. Tonight, we'll revisit last year just a bit, discuss the big picture questions about the staff, the identity of the team, go over some lineup stuff, some potential rotations. I know Ed's itching to get after that. And finally, we will give our record predictions at the end. So last year, guys, we finished 13-19. But we were 8-12 in the ACC. We didn't have a point guard because of what happened with Isaiah Miller, and that threw a monkey wrench into things. And when that Jacksonville game happened, that was like the shot across the bow, right? Where it's like, oh crap, like this might not be a good year.
Yeah, that was funny because obviously it was bad, right? Like you don't want to lose a game like that on your home floor. But that kind of stuff happens like almost weekly in November and December across college basketball. Like these just crazy upsets, they do happen. It hadn't happened to Virginia Tech in quite some time. So I think it was a very eye-opening experience for the fan base. Now, granted, the team ended up obviously not being very good. So it was a little bit of foreshadowing, but it was kind of funny to see the sky is falling reactions, considering I think like within 10 days of that, it happened to like 3 other Power 4 schools. So it is a college basketball thing, but it was a little bit unprecedented for Virginia Tech fans.
I think also a lot of people started tuning the team out after that, right? Like Ed and I make jokes all the time. When it was just he and I, Pete, we'd make the jokes about like nobody pays attention to this basketball team until football's over, unless football kind of gives you a reason to start tuning in a little earlier. Like this would be a good year, obviously. Well, we'll see with coaching change stuff, but this would be a good year to start like paying early attention to basketball given the roster and where this team's going to be positioned. But that loss to Jacksonville last year, that was definitely the low point. Like we were thinking, okay, could this get worse? No, it didn't really get worse. In fact, I thought the team played pretty well considering how things went last year, right? Like how the roster was looking after that loss. I thought the team improved a lot. So that was inevitably the low point. And then I thought the team really kind of exceeded expectations from that point on in a lot of ways. So
I thought it was Mike Young's probably best coaching job that he's done here. I mean, I know that's hard to say with us winning the ACC tournament one year, but like we looked dead in the water when conference play started, and we ended up going 8-12, and we were right there with SMU, Louisville. We won at Cal. We beat NC State. We beat UVA. We won at Notre Dame, which is a hard place to win, and we won at Miami, who had a rough year. But Ed, I just thought, like Mike was saying, the way we turned it around, it almost renewed the faith in Mike Young. Like this guy can really coach.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Like they got everything they could out of that roster. Despite all limitations, and it was they scratched and clawed and grinded their way to those 8 league wins. It was pretty impressive to watch. I mean, when was the last time we had won at UVA? Wasn't it like back in the Buzz era? So it had been quite some time to go up there and win in Charlottesville. And obviously they weren't super good either, but for the 13-19 team to be the one that knocks off Virginia and JPJ, that was certainly not something I would have expected. Really strange year. Obviously, the roster constraints and I guess financial limitations have been pretty well documented on this show and others. We don't need to get into it anymore, but for them to get out what they got out of that group, very impressive from the coaching staff.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys to describe it in a few words, and like lost season comes to mind. It was just like one of those we didn't really prep properly, from the roster standpoint, and it started to go bad, but then it got better. So like maybe lost season is unfair. Like how would you describe it, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, lost season makes a lot of sense. I mean, I hate. I mean, Mike Young's in his 60s and he's a really good coach. I hate to just like waste a year of Mike Young. You know what I mean? So I mean that definitely comes to mind. I thought the team outperformed expectations relative to what the roster was. I mean, once we knew Heiser Miller wasn't going to be on the team, once we saw all the guys we almost landed in the portal or landed and flipped, like Ivy Curry, like flipping, that was a killer. And once we saw what the roster was actually going to be and how much youth Mike Young was going to have to play, because I mean, remember guys, he doesn't love playing freshmen unless he has to. And he was kind of forced to last year. And one of the things we've talked about with Mike Young in the past is like, would it be good for him to play the freshman earlier in this new era of college basketball with the portal? Because these guys just up and leave if they're not getting playing time now. It's like just very different from what Mike Young has done in the past at Wofford, where it was very much a developmental program. I think it's still a developmental program at Blacksburg. And obviously, if you have a good NIL bag, you can keep these guys in tow. But I think it's going to end up paying dividends having to play all these freshmen that he did last year and then having them gain all that experience. So I don't know if it's necessarily a lost season from that standpoint, because I do think it's going to really help this roster in the 25-26 season that all those guys had to play as much as they did.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost like that was really well said, Mike, because of the way it went down and him playing those guys and learning that we were underfunded, it's almost made what we're looking at forward like so much better. So like it was almost like a come to Jesus would be the terminology to talk about last season. But as an ACC basketball school with some recent success with Buzz and Mike getting to a couple tournaments, that's kind of what at least I expect from the program now, to compete, to be on the bubble, right? To be on the bubble or in the tournament. Like I think that's what Mike Young's standard is, Ed. And I'm hoping that that's at least that we're on the same page going forward, is like, we should expect that. And if we're going to fund Mike Young properly, he can achieve that.
If you're going to fund him at a tier 3 level, you'll get a tier 2 result, et cetera, et cetera. That he's just that kind of coach from an X's and O's standpoint, and putting his players in the best position to be successful, no matter who they are. If they're Brandon Rechsteiner or Keve Aluma, he's going to find a way to use that, get as much as he can out of that player. Unfortunately, they were funded at a level a year ago that was just completely unacceptable. And I mean, truthfully, it was towards the bottom of the league and they finished towards the middle. So he did what I was saying again last year. He'll continue to do it. This year, obviously, we're going into it with a completely different expectation level than we have last year, and maybe in a couple years. With some of the moves they were able to make in the offseason. And we'll get into that here in a second. So, hopefully that trend continues to hold true.
And what our fans should realize, because I know there's been a little bit of Mike Young frustration even before last season, is that last season was his first under 500 year at Tech. And we know it was kind of a botch because of the funding and football and everything that kind of went into why we didn't have a point guard and all that kind of stuff. So one under 500 season, 105 and 85 overall, 2 tournaments, which even for Tech going to the tournament, historically, that is a luxury. And now because of Buzz and Mike, like it seems so much more possible that we do expect to at least compete for it. So that is nice. Let's get to just a couple more big picture before we get to the roster. What we just did to the roster, Mike Young and company, calling it an overhaul would be an understatement. We did keep 4 guys that we really like, but we brought in a whole bunch of new guys, including a freshman and some portal guys that are going to pay big dividends. At least we hope so. Is this what we should expect going forward? Like, is this you keep 4, you maybe keep 5, and you get 8 to new guys every year? Or do you think this is exceptional? And whoever wants to go first can go first.
I will say that I think the reason why we saw a lot of roster turnover last year coming into this year is because the roster wasn't very good, right? I think that was part of it. I think the other part of it too is it is just the nature of what these sports are now, like college basketball especially. It's just entirely new roster every year, especially at the bigger schools, the better basketball schools. I think it'll probably be a mix, Pete. Like I don't think it'll be just 4 guys and then 8 or 9 rotating. I think it'll be a little bit better than that. I think it'll be maybe 6 and 6 or something more in line with that. I think Tech's position coming into this year was a little bit different just because Mike Young was very clear at the end of last season, right? And he never really openly says this, but he was like, we got to get better players in here, which is like crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, he was saying that like the minute the clock hit 0 in the ACC tournament season was over,
sure
he's like, yeah, we're done here. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know that it'll always be quite that extreme. There's probably somewhere in the middle there, especially for a program like Virginia Tech. Like you said, Mike, the bigger schools, they'll flip the whole thing on its head if they feel like they need to and go out and spend crazy money and get whoever they want. But I think a program like Tech, under Coach Young and what he likes to do from an offensive and I guess in general system standpoint, you want to have some continuity. And I think that's why it was so important for them to keep the 4 they did. Make no mistake, they kept the 4 they wanted. They went 4 for 4. They didn't lose anybody. They didn't want this. They wanted to keep this time. Whereas the year prior, they lost a lot of guys they wanted to keep. And guys were coming back to them and saying, hey, I'd love to stay. I love playing for you guys, but you need to add a 0 here. Where we were like, oh, wait, you cost that much on the open market? And we had no idea or no ability to match, I guess I should say. We had an idea. We just didn't have the means to make it happen. Guys like Sean Padula, Tyler Nickel, MJ Collins, those would have been players that the staff would have loved to have last year. Don't get me wrong. So it'll change. It'll ebb and flow. I mean, for instance, like where we are right now, looking ahead to next year, not that I want to do that yet, but we're not recruiting any high school kids for next year. I'm sure there'll be some late bloomers that come on that we take a swing at, similar to a couple of guys we did this year. But in general, we're not actively pursuing any top 100, top 150 type recruits right now. We're going to focus our resource allocation on retaining the guys we currently have because this team only has a couple seniors. So they can bring a lot of guys back if they want to. It's going to change. A long answer, but the short answer is it's just going to depend on the roster makeup and what you're trying to accomplish in that offseason.
Yeah, and this roster, it's a unique one from the imports, from the more freshmen than I expected, and then keeping those 4 guys that we really liked from last year. So this is the last thing I want to ask you before we kind of get into the roster and break down some of the lineups. Staff turnover. Mike Young has had a pretty consistent staff. KG, Kevin Giltner, got the head coaching job at Wofford. Christian Webster headed over to Stetson, and Chester Frazier returns to Blacksburg. He was here under Buzz Williams, bringing his defensive acumen, recruiting
under
prowess.
Mike Young. He was here under Mike Young.
Oh, he was here under Mike Young. I'm sorry.
Great. Webby was all the way back to Buzz. Frazier was here early Mike Young tenure.
I mixed them up. My bad. But needless to say, just a little bit of changeover, and then we bring in Moats over from Boise State. Are we worried at all what losing KG and Webby could mean to like the tenor of the locker room?
I don't know. I don't know about the locker room impact of that. From an X's and O's standpoint, I think we'll be okay. We lost a great one in Coach Giltner. He's going to do a great job at Wofford. And Coach Webster had been around Virginia Tech for a long time, dating back to Buzz, like I just mentioned. So I don't know what the impact there will be, but I know we brought in 2 really good coaches too. I mean, Chester Frazier is a fantastic basketball coach. Everywhere he's been on staff has won. And then Moats is a younger up and comer who I would love to get to know more about. But again, he's been in some really good coaching staffs in his career. So I think from that standpoint, as Coach Young has done pretty much every time he's had an assistant opening, he kind of nails it. He's gotten a lot of these hires correct in his time at Virginia Tech, and I think he did it again in an off season where he really needed to. It was interesting, Pete, on our last episode, you pointed out that JD Byers went from being the shortest tenured coach to the longest tenured coach on this staff in an off season, which is really interesting. But no, I think we did a really good job replacing those two guys.
Yeah, the only thing real quick I wanted to add is just bringing Frazier back, I think helps a lot, right? Because, I mean, to lose Webster and then to lose Giltner the same offseason, especially when you're losing Giltner as late as you did, it really helps to be bringing back somebody like Frazier, who Mike Young's got a lot of familiarity with. It's a really good coach. Yeah. And like Ed said, like I don't know a ton about Moats, but he has come from good programs. Boise has been a bit of a wagon. Like they're very good. So, Mike Young wouldn't have hired him if he couldn't coach. So interested to see how that plays out. But yeah, I think bringing Frazier back, I think helps ease the blow a little bit with losing who you lost.
I mean, yeah, Frazier is a stud in the coaching world, and it's huge that we got him. He's responsible for bringing in some of the guys we got. So let's talk about the roster, unless you guys have any final things you want to say.
Let's do it.
All right. So who we lost? We lost Poteet, Burnham, Rexsteiner, Young, Brown, Wessler, Jones, and Servin. We kept Toby Lawal, Jaden Shute, Tyler Johnson, and Ben Hammond. Again, we did a more deep dive on all these guys in the previous episode, and it'll come up, but I just want to let you know that before you're saying, well, I don't know about this guy. Make sure to check out the last episode as well. Who we gained in the portal is very important. Nicholas Avdalis, 6'8", 200 pounds, 19-year-old from Greece. That is the star of the show, right? He's basically a 5-star recruit coming in. He's been playing professionally overseas, and he could have been in the draft last year, and he decided he wanted to go to school and maybe get a higher draft position, and he chose Virginia Tech due to a somewhat convoluted relationship with Chester Frazier. So that is awesome that we got him. Amani Hansberry comes over with Frazier from West Virginia, 4-star transfer. Isaiah Pasha, 6'4" guard from Delaware. Looks like a point guard, maybe a combo guard. CAA freshman of the year last year. Jalen Bedford, 6'4" guard from UNLV. And then Antonio Dorn, the 22-year-old freshman, 7-footer from Germany. It's a nice crew of a mixed bag of ball handlers and big men. How do you think we did in the portal overall, Ed?
Well, I just pulled it up on 24/7 because I was curious where it ended up landing. If you don't count Dorian Finney-Smith, Neo is the highest rated recruit in the history of the school. And even good. If you count Finney-Smith, he's off by 0.0073. So that's how good Neo is and how highly thought of he is in the basketball industry. I'm not even sure he really got a proper rating because he kind of came out of left field, but he was a guy who was going to be drafted in the second round this year if he had stayed in the draft. I mean, he's a professional basketball player. He's been playing professional basketball in Greece. What could be on an NBA roster or maybe a two-way contract right now if he hadn't decided to come to Virginia Tech and play for Mike Young and play for Chester Frazier. So kind of when you kind of have to start from there and then you can talk about everybody else. But when you land someone like that, it's hard to nitpick the rest of the roster construction. I do think they did a great job across the board. I think they did a great job of getting guys who will be really good now, getting guys who I think can be helpful now and really good in the future and the rest of their career, and then filling in complementary pieces like a Jalen Bedford. Amani Hansberry is a really good player. So, yeah, we dove into everybody a little bit more in depth in the last one, and I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit more as we go through tonight. But when you start with the program all-time leading recruit, it's kind of hard to be upset.
Yeah, and isn't Dorian still in the NBA? I mean, that was a long freaking time ago that he was playing his 1 year at Tech, and I believe it was 2012 season, 2012, 2013.
11 or
yeah,
11 or I can't remember if I was a freshman.
If it was 11 and 12 or 12 and 13, yeah.
I think it was 11. I think it was 11 into 12 because that was Greenberg's last year in Blacksburg, and I had 2 years of James Johnson. Lucky me.
Yeah, that's tough.
I can tell that hurts you because you've mentioned that over the years.
Yeah, he's mentioned that a couple times.
Painful.
It's funny because that was the end, right? Like James Johnson was the end of your college, right?
I had year one at Buzz.
Oh, well, that's nice. But that wasn't a great season, I guess.
But it wasn't great, yeah. But I mean, it was watchable at least.
True. My years ended with Greenberg, and we were so bad before that, and I never knew anything else that it was like, oh, we're kind of going like this. Like
Yeah.
like I have a little bit fonder memory than maybe you do of that.
Yeah.
But no, we didn't win anything when I was in school. Maybe we beat UVA here.
Wait, I do want to mention this because now that I'm looking at it, Neo had the exact same rating from 24/7. He did not have a composite rating because none of the other networks rated him. So he actually had the exact same rating as Finney Smith from that perspective.
That's what we want to hear, man. That is what we want to hear. From high school ranks, we picked up a center, Solomon Davis from DeMatha, Christian Gerdak. This is our big recruit coming out of high school. The center from Gonzaga in DC. Sincere Jones, 6'7" wing from Portsmouth. Brett Freeman, 6'5" guard. I believe he's a guard. And then Snook Peterkin, the football player / basketball player at 6'3", is on the roster. I don't know if he's joined the team, but he is on the roster. Looking at the portal, looking at the freshmen, do you believe that we addressed the deficiencies of last year's team, Mike? And I'll kind of say what they were. Ball security. number one, deficiencies from last year, ball security, some size, passing, and wing depth. I feel like those were the big deficiencies.
Yeah, I think we addressed all of them.
Okay, good.
I think we addressed all of them. Yeah, I do. I think our starting point guard is probably going to be Neo, and he's what 6'7" versus running Rex Steiner out there, which is kind of what we had to do there for a while. Rex Steiner and the Hammond combination, and I think we addressed the size, we addressed the ball handling. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the lineups. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but yeah, I think defensively has a chance to be a really, really good perimeter defending team. And that may cover up some deficiencies we have in the post. At least we have some youth outside of Hansberry, obviously. So yeah, I think they addressed everything they needed to address to put together a very competitive team.
I think like what I like the most about the ACC stuff, not just what he said tangibly in terms of coach. He said he just seemed to really like his team. Like he looked very confident whenever he talked about his team, Ed. And that's why, like, I feel like he knows that we had so many holes in the roster in terms of what we could do. And that based on who we picked up and who we brought back, like he feels really good about addressing all the faults we had last year.
Yeah, I think looking at the one, like the faults you listed off, I think passing, wing depth, and size are undoubtedly improved upon and upgraded in a huge way. I actually think size and passing will become strengths as a team overall relative to the competition. Shooting is a question mark for me. It's a question mark for Coach Young based on what he's talked about. The idea I had on the last pod where I mentioned, playing Hammond with Neo might allow Hammond to get more open threes, which it sounded like was an area of his game that he'd shown in practice that Coach Young was really high on. Like Hammond might be one of their better shooters. That played out in the Duquesne scrimmage. We'll see if it plays out as we get going, but Hammond shot the ball really well there. So if he can take a step, and Johnson, we'll see what Neo is as a shooter. I think we can be an okay shooting team, but I don't know that it'll be like a strength. Ball security is still a question. We'll talk in depth more about the Duquesne game, but by all accounts, putting the ear to the ground, ball security was an issue against Seton Hall in the scrimmage that no one got to see. And then it sounds like it was a scrimmage against Duquesne. I didn't get to go to that game, but based on the box score and the reports from people in Castle, ball security was a bit of a problem there as well. Again, scrimmages, mixed lineups, getting the jitters out. It's early. I get all that. So I'm not overly concerned about it. I think we'll be fine because there's just too much talent on the team, especially from a primary ball handler standpoint, for it to be an issue. So I don't think it will be one. But we've only seen the team play one time, and it was. So until proven otherwise, I guess I'll just leave it as a question mark relative to last year. But everything else, I think, pretty clear path to have definitely improved upon it.
I just feel like if Hammond is starting as one of the ball handlers out there, he's already played a year and proven to be better than Recksteiner taking care of the basketball, that I feel like we should be better. But you're right, it might take a little time. Last year was such a difficult year to generate offense for us. And That's what happens when you don't have a point guard to distribute the ball or take care of the ball. What are your expectations for the offense this year, Mike?
Yeah, my concerns are similar to Ed's. Like, I think the shooting could be a question, although I think that there's potential with some of the transfers we brought in, like we talked about in the last pod. So I don't know. That's kind of like a wait and see situation. Also, there's a chance that some of the the guys who were there last year could just simply shoot it better. And then we'll see what Neo brings to the table. I mean, he just didn't have to shoot a ton of threes overseas. And, if he's a guy who ends up taking 3 or 4 or 5 threes a game, like, what's that going to look like? It's not that he necessarily shot a poor percentage, but he just hadn't taken a ton of them. So we'll wait and see there. I do think the upside is obviously a lot greater with this year's offense than it was a year ago for a number of reasons we all watched that product last year. I think just there are a lot of veterans who have played a lot of college basketball and have been able to score elsewhere. I think they're going to be able to come in here and play well.
I just think there's so many more guards now that can be playable. That was one of the major issues is like just getting the ball up and distributed was so difficult. Like that to me, and with Neo's passing ability, Pasha, like just guard play, guys who can handle, guys that can, get it to people like that. To me, the ball movement, the ball should be moving. Like
we're
constantly.
we're deeper in the backcourt for sure. That's been the issue with these Mike Young teams last few years. It's just we've not been deep enough in the backcourt, and a lot of that is for things that have been out of Mike Young's control, for sure.
Yeah.
But this team should be different.
Are you concerned about? Well, you talked about the shooting. Let's move over to defense because last year and the year before, defense were concerns going into the year. Bringing Frazier back, what West Virginia had done, what Illinois had done with him, like that your team should be playing some good defense if Chester Frazier's on your sideline. How are you feeling heading into this year, Ed?
Yeah, you nailed it. Chester Frazier, not worried about it as much. I think he'll get these guys up and playing really good defense. I think the positional versatility is a strength, and that'll help you. That helps primarily on the defensive end. I mean, it can help you offensively creating mismatches, but I think that's something that helps you a lot on the defensive end. I think you have guys like Ben Hammond, Tyler Johnson, Jalen Bedford coming over as a transfer who are all really good on-ball defenders. I think Amani's a perfectly fine defender at the 5 spot, and then Toby is kind of an eraser. And I think if he can play out of the paint more with a guy like Hansberry, he can be even more of an eraser and down low and blocking shots. And not even to mention just behind him and behind Hansberry and Toby, you have Antonio Dorn and Christian Gerdick, 2 legitimate 7-footers who are physically ready to play at this level. So I just think defensively, the overall roster elevation plus Chester Frazier and his defensive acumen and intensity, I think they'll be fine on that end of the floor.
You just mentioned Gerdak. Do you think that's the freshman that plays the most this year?
Yeah, definitely. He played a lot against Duquesne, super skilled. Like I said, big dude already, pretty physically ready. He got in foul trouble against Duquesne, but that was early. Now, the Duquesne thing too, Dorn didn't play. He can't play against Charleston Southern, so I think we'll see Gerdick in the first game, and then it'll be interesting to see how that rotation splits once we get to Providence. But yeah, I do think he'll play the primary, freshman minutes. I mean, Sincere Jones might get on the floor as the year goes on, but Gerdick has the most clear path.
Yeah, I'm not expecting to see too much of Peterkin. Maybe if we have a couple blowouts, we'd see some of the other guys. Like Jones was the other most highly touted, I guess. Davis was a late ad. If we needed center depth, maybe he'd get on the floor. But yeah, Gerdak is the one that could end
Jones
up
was a 4-star too, but
yeah, I know that. Well, that's what I was saying. Gerdak just has the physical nature already. His body is ready to play at this level. It would seem he's 260 pounds and close to 7 foot. So I'm very excited to see what he can do for us. But
Mike Young's going to be just one quick thing. Mike Young's going to be, I think, more comfortable with this rotation this year because Neo, I guess technically is a freshman, but he's not going to have to play outside of Neo. He's not going to have to play a lot of freshmen, right? It would take injuries to up and down the roster for him to have to play as many freshmen as he did last year. And I think that's true. A level of comfortability that we've seen from Mike Young, right, is that he doesn't want to play a ton of freshmen. He's not going to really have to this year outside of Neo, because Neo's Neo.
Right. And Neo is a freshman, but he's already 19.
Yeah.
And like Ed said, he's been playing professionally, I think since he was 15. So he shouldn't look like a baby deer out there, like some freshmen can look from time to time. So this is what we have in the way of guards. Let's put it all together. Guards are Hammond, Shoot, Bedford, Pasha, and Freeman. Wings, Neo. I'm including Lawal in the wings and Neo, depending on how you want to look at it. I think they're wings. Johnson and Jones, and then the bigs are Hansberry, Dorn, Gerdak, and Davis. So it's a pretty nice distribution, and the most are the guards. We have 5, and you really are only going to hopefully rely on 4 of those guys, but we may be able to rely on 4, which is nice, in Hammond, Shoot, Bedford, and Pasha. So I'll start with Rothstein's lineup, and then I want to kind of say what Mike said, and then I want to ask you guys. So when Rothstein visited Hahn-Hurst, he said it's going to be Neo, Jalen Bedford, Jaden Shoot, Toby, and Hansberry. And that was surprising to me because Bedford, I wasn't expecting to be a starter. And then Mike Young at ACC Media Days said Neo, Hammond, Johnson, Lawal, Amani, which makes more sense. And Amani is Amani Hansberry. I mean, we have to take Mike Young for what he's worth. Was that the lineup you were expecting, Ed?
I don't know I don't know what to take from Mike Young, because that's what he said. And then against Duquesne, he rolled out the exact lineup Rothstein said. So
okay.
I don't know what they're going to land on there. I can kind of see a basketball logical reason for both. I mean, really the only thing switching there is Hammond and Bedford. I can see reasons for both, depending on maybe matchups or just in general. I think it'd be nice to have a facilitator and initiator like Ben Hammond coming off the bench. But yeah, I mean, Mike Young said that, and then he rolled out the exact lineup Rothstein put out on
classic
Twitter.
Coach. Yeah, there you go.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see on Monday night what they go with. But again, I don't think it'll matter much. I mean, Hammond didn't start against Duquesne, but he played a crap ton of minutes and scored the team high in points. So I don't think it'll matter. But it was kind of funny to see that they literally put out what Rothstein tweeted they'd put out.
Yeah, Mike, were you like expecting Ben Hammond to get the nod as a starting? Like, because we all kind of thought it was going to be Neo as like the point guard, but if you're starting Hammond, like that's your point guard. You know, that's what he is.
Yeah.
He's nothing else.
Yeah. I think a lot of it depends on how comfortable Neo is playing off ball in American college basketball. Like, what is that? Like, how comfortable is he with that? We don't know yet. I think there are some merits to bringing Hammond off the bench because you have a primary ball handler you feel really good about. And if you have Hammond be essentially your sixth man, he's going to be the first guy off the bench. And you're never really uncomfortable with the guy bringing the ball up the floor with the second unit. So I think there are some merits to that. Also, Hammond's just going to play a ton. So like, I don't really think it matters if he's starting or not. You know, I think there are nights where he could potentially come off the bench and still end up with, you know, one of the highest minutes on the team for that particular game. So yeah, I was a little surprised. I think if you put Hammond, if you take Hammond out of the starting lineup, right, and you bring him off the bench, you do add more defense if you put Bedford at the 2. I think you're more plus. You're plus defensively, right, with your starting lineup.
Is Bedford a better defender than Hammond, or is he just bigger, which makes him a better defender?
They can guard different type of players.
Yeah,
Ben Hammond can guard your JJ Starling, Marcus Burton types, but I'm not sure that he can guard, you know, your bigger guard wing types. Whereas Bedford can probably guard both of those type of players. So it's just a little bit different, but they're both great on-ball defenders.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, over the summer, I really thought because of how well Pasha played last year. Now, it wasn't in the ACC. It was in the CAA on Delaware. But I kind of predicted Pasha to be the point guard and Shoot, because of what he's done, to be the starting 2 guard. That's what I was thinking. Then the Neo would be technically the 3, and that gives you even because Shoot's not going to really handle the ball all that much, but you still get Neo and Pasha out there, and then you bring Hammond off the bench, and that's kind of what Mike was talking about. Like I kind of love Hammond coming off of the bench, and I just feel like he is. Some guys are more suited for that. I'm not saying that he's not going to play the most minutes. I just feel like it's nice to bring that guy off the bench. But you know, Mike is the expert here, and he's going to do what's best. I just felt like that lineup gives you a really good balance of shooting, ball handling, and size. If you do the Pasha, Shoot, Neo, Lawal, and Hansberry.
Yeah, I kind of listed out my starting 5, and then I went in order. 6th man, 7th man, 8th man.
Okay, tell us what you got.
Neo, Bedford, Johnson, Toby, Amani. As what they put out against Duquesne, I think makes a lot of sense. Neo becomes your primary ball handler and your initiator, which is what he is. Bedford has the ability to take some pressure off of Neo by guarding the other team's best guard. He's also a pretty good catch and shoot guy. To space the floor a little bit on the offensive end. Tyler Johnson, I'm so high on Tyler Johnson. That guy's so good, and I think he's going to be so good again this year. Everything he does is at a level that somebody like 2.5 to 3 inches taller than him should be doing. He rebounds the ball really well, plays really good defense. We've seen him shoot it in spurts. I just think he's the perfect small forward college basketball player. And he knows what Coach Young wants to do offensively, which I think there might be a little bit of strategery here as to how he split up the 4 returning guys 2 and 2. Toby at the 4, that's a given. Monty Hansberry at the 5. I think Ben Hammond's your 6th man. I think he plays starter minutes every night. Again, super high on Ben Hammond. I think Jaden Shoot will probably play the next most amount of minutes. Again, returning guy. Floor spacing, he's your best shooter by far on this team in terms of just pure 3-point shooting ability. Then I have Antonio Dorn as your backup 5. I think he'll play some really good minutes for this team. I like what we've seen there and what we've heard there. Looking at his film, I mean, you got to remember he's 22. He's a full blown grown adult, and he's going to have no issue adjusting to college basketball.
Right.
Pasha 9th and Gerdick 10th. Pasha's the one I just don't know what to make of yet. I don't really know. I don't really know how that adjustment will be. I know what I'm going to get from Ben Hammond in ACC play. I know what I'm going to get from Jaden Shoot in ACC play. I don't know what I'm going to get from Isaiah Pasha at this level yet. Athletically, no issue. Ability to get to the rim, I don't think will be an issue. Can he shoot the ball well enough to get on the floor ahead of guys like Jaden Shoot? I don't know. We'll find out. So it's just kind of a question mark more than anything else. Like, how quickly can he adapt to this level? Like you said, Pete, he was great towards the back half of the year and in the CAA tournament at Delaware as a freshman. There's a lot of ability. Like, kind of truthfully, outside of Neo, maybe outside of Neo and Toby, maybe the most pure ability on the team. But we'll just see how long it takes him to get up to speed. And then Gerdick, kind of same thing. How quick can he get acclimated to college basketball? So that's my order. I really think I think this team could play 10. I don't know if they'll need to use Gerdick on any given night, but I think this team could. It will play 9 and could play 10.
I mean, the fact that we have what seems like 9 playable players, and the 9th one that you listed was potentially in my starting lineup, which I'm not in practice every day. Like, he might be, not doing that well, but I love a big guard, like a 6'4" guard who can play the point. Like, he had a lot of assists down the stretch of the season for Delaware, almost 12 points a game last year. And he was over 50% from the field. Now, his shooting, Ed said something like, you worry about the outside shot, but he was a freshman and he shot 33% from 3. Now, of course, that's not good. It was better than Jaden Young last year, who was a sophomore.
Yeah, I was going to say, can you take that and build on it at a higher level of competition, right, in the ACC?
And at maybe a higher clip of attempts,
Right, I agree. Because, I mean, he's probably going to be playing – when he gets into the game, right, I think he's going to be playing primarily off the ball, right, just because of where he is in the rotation.
Because of Neo, because of Hammond,
Right, yeah. Like, I think if he's getting in, he's probably not going to be the primary ball handler. I think he's probably going to be playing off ball more, which does not play to his strengths either, because that's different than what he did at Delaware right? So that's his fit there is going to be important as well.
And he may not be the best defender. Like I think there could be some issues there. Now, just having more size than Hammond can help, but it doesn't mean that you're good at moving your feet. And so we got. I don't know about that, and I think I even read something over the summer. Like that's not necessarily why he was a 4-star transfer. Well, it's not because of the defense; it's because of all the other things he can do offensively. But he did have like almost a steal a game and like half a block a game. So I just love his potential. So hopefully he'll get on the floor. And Bedford's really the one for me that I just don't even know that much about. Like, I mean, I can look at his stat line from last year. Not the best 3-point shooter for being a graduate. Like, Pasha shot 33%. Bedford was 35 from 3. So, like, and that's not a freshman, like that's a guy who's been shooting the ball in college. So that's a little bit of a concern with Bedford. I wanted to make one comp that Mike might enjoy. Maybe Ed remembers this.
Gotta have one per podcast.
Tyler Johnson. He is like, he's a better shooting version of JT Thompson. Do you remember JT Thompson? Like, he would get after the rebounds, and he was only like 6'6", but he would come down with so many boards. Tough player, kind of that glue guy. I like JT Thompson a lot, and he never kind of like, he was always kind of the same every year, but he would do the same things consistently.
Yeah, like Jarrell Eddy.
Yeah. Similar in that respect. Different games, but similar from that standpoint. All right. So what pairings on this team are you guys looking forward to the most? I have my pick, but I want you guys to go first.
I'll go really quick. Mine are watching Neo and Hammond on the floor together at the same time. I think that'll be really fun. I think that creates some cool things you can do offensively and some stuff you can do to put the defense in a really crappy spot. Their passing ability from both of them, I think, will be fun to watch from the guards. And then Amani and Toby, I'm really curious how that's going to work. I think it will work. I think they're both skilled enough to make it work. But I mean, they're both 6'8", so one of them's not a true center. I think it'll work regardless, and I think there's enough skill there, particularly from Hansberry, in terms of passing and initiating out of kind of the Mike Young center spot, quote unquote. I think that'll be really fun to follow and see how that progresses as the year goes on. But the definite one is Hammond and Neo. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, Mike.
Those are my two, and I don't know, in the effort to try to be a little bit different. Neo and Amani Hansberry, because I think there's going to be an opportunity, right? Amani's going to be playing out of the high post a lot, so there's an opportunity, right? Neo gets downhill. We're going to have a guy wide open in the post. He's going to demand a lot of attention. So I just think there's an opportunity, right, for Hansberry to be kind of that stretch 4/5, whatever he ends
up
being.
And what do you think about that pairing also, Mike? Like, Hansberry setting screens for Neo, like it's similar to Embiid and Maxey, or the JJ Redick and Embiid, 2-man game. You have your big, and then you have the shooter come around. Like, that could be really fun to watch with that pair. Yep. I want to see Toby and Neo do some like alley-oop, Lob City type stuff. Those guys.
I knew that was going to be yours.
Like, oh my God. I mean, Toby is so fun to watch that I have to get him in a pairing. And if I compare him with somebody else, it's the other athletic freak on the floor, the 5-star freshman coming in Neo. And you watch Neo's highlight tape, it's full of like, not only, things at the basket and some vicious dunks, there's chase down blocks. Like, he is athletic, man. And he's aggressive. And I just think with Toby, if you want to get out and run a little bit, those guys could be really fun. So I'm excited to see Toby back again, because his dunks and the way he flies above the rim is worth the price of admission.
The team put out, it was kind of like right before we recorded, like a 6-minute preseason little like documentary type thing, and running in the background of all these little interviews is just highlights. And there's a few of those for you, Pete.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, the team has been putting out some really fun stuff too. Like, I love all like the photos that they're taking, like the ones when they're in like their street clothes and stuff, kind of like they're all hanging out, having a good time. Not Crater Lake, this is actually having a good time. Maybe they're hanging out at Slovakia, who knows? But yeah, the team does seem close. Like you watch the videos, they do seem like they enjoy each other's presence and whatnot. So that's a plus. And as for what we saw in the scrimmages, Ed, you've mentioned the Duquesne one a few times, and we talked. Was it Seton Hall, the one before that? We lost both, but I have faith that Mike Young last year looked so bad, and by the time conference play came around, we were playing at the highest level he could get that team playing.
Yeah.
So I'm not really worried right now.
I'm staring off into the abyss, and I'm actually just looking at the box score from the Duquesne scrimmage, because obviously we didn't stream it, because why would Virginia Tech do something like that?
No, that would be good.
It's just the most excited for basketball we've been in years.
Yeah, so couldn't even set up a still camera to just sit there and stare at the court. So I'm just looking at the box score, trying to take away from it what I can. I mean, it's kind of weird, like 9 guys played, like we talked about. Dorn was ineligible for the scrimmage, so it would have been 10 if Dorn had played. So I guess we were right on that point. But it's just looking at it and trying to see kind of what went wrong. The only thing that stares you right in the face is 19 turnovers. You can't turn the ball over that many times. And this is going to be a problem for Toby Lawal in particular. He's got to cut down on it. I mean, he had 5 in this game. I know he wants to be able to put the ball on the floor, and I know he can put the ball on the floor, but I imagine that is where these 5 turnovers took place. So, if he can cut back on that, the rest of his stat line was 7 of 9 from the floor, 2 of 4 from 3, 8 rebounds, and 20 points. If he can cut down on the turnovers, even down to 3, all of a sudden that's an incredible night. Nothing else like crazy. Can't really tell what they were doing from a lineup perspective to be super concerned about it. We led the team. We led both times. We led in the first half by 11 at one point. We were leading at the under 4 of both halves. Ended up losing the game by 2. We're only 16 of 29 from the free throw line, so that's terrible.
Oh, shoot. Yeah.
Shot terrible from the free throw line. Hansberry fouled out. Dorn couldn't play. Neo was 1 of 8 from 3.
It sounds like a sloppy scrimmage.
I don't know. I can't take it. I can't be concerned from that.
No.
Like Duquesne had a couple guys who I know we talked to a little bit in the portal come out and put up 21 and play great. So I overall not concerned. One thing I hadn't noticed before that I'm noticing now is that Jaden Shute played 27 minutes off the bench. And was 3 of 5 from the field and 2 of 3 from 3-point land. Going to expect that from him from a shooting perspective. But he also had 7 rebounds, second on the team that night. So that's kind of cool. But I don't know what to take away from these scrimmages, man, because you never know what they're trying to do.
Yeah, if they're taking it super serious, are they trying to really win, or are they trying to see what they have? It's impossible to know. That's why I'm not. It's like preseason football. Like the Browns go 4-0 in the preseason, and then they're the Browns.
I'll freak out if we look like crap against Providence, but I'm not going to hang too much on the scrimmages.
Yeah.
All right, so the season starts Monday, fellas. We got to get to these games, talk a little bit about the schedule and how we predict it playing out. 18 ACC conference games this year. That's right. We're going back to the format we had pre-COVID. I think the last year we played with 18 games was 2019. And somehow, even with still 18 games, we are not playing every team in the conference because Pitt is not on our schedule. Go figure. I don't know why or how, but that's how it is. We have 2 matchups with UVA and 2 matchups with Wake Forest. That is they called it something. There's a bunch of pairings if you go to the ACC website. And then we have 13 out-of-conference games prior to that. And we are in the Battle for Atlantis, which has – I was actually shocked at this lineup, Ed. There's a lot of good teams at this Battle for Atlantis. Us, Colorado State, Wichita State, and St. Mary's is on our side. And on the other side, it's Western Kentucky, Vandy, VCU, and South Florida. I feel like we got the tougher side of that.
Yeah, we play I'll just go quick because I know we have a bunch of stuff on this document, but I know we've been going for almost an hour already. So I'll go quick.
We're almost done.
Yeah, we have a home game against George Mason. I think that's our kind of marquee home game out of conference. Non-con in college basketball, of course, nobody wants to play each other home or away. They all play on neutral sites. So our coolest, I guess, home game is that George Mason game. Our toughest games, non-conference, I would say Providence, second game of the year, neutral site game up in Connecticut. So it'll be a pretty Providence-heavy crowd. But then we also play South Carolina in their building in the ACC SEC. Little worried about Eli Ellis. I'm not gonna lie. That kid can spray it. Little worried about that kid. But then to Atlantis. We have who do we have? We have Colorado State. So the Brandon Rechsteiner revenge game. I'm sure he'll have 30 that night. And then
beyond brand.
And then like Pete mentioned, we play either Wichita State or St. Mary's, and then if we were to advance past one of them, likely VCU or Vanderbilt. So opportunity for some really good wins there. Down in Atlanta, some good competition. Like I think that's like a good tournament. I don't think you're like, it's a bunch of teams that are, I would say, pretty similar in terms of where they could be at the end of the year with us and Vandy and VCU and St. Mary's. It's not like, it's Virginia Tech, St. Mary's, VCU, and Duke, in one field. I think it's a very good field, and even field to be a good test for this team over the holidays. So that'll be really cool. I think. It's a pretty good non-conference schedule, nothing crazy, but
I like that home game. You didn't mention the St. Joe's home game, but like that's kind of a nice. Like Providence is good. Like they're a top 50 KenPom team. St. Joe's is 109, and they embarrassed us last year. And it's at home. We got to win that one. Like that is one you should win, and that's why it's not pivotal, but it's like. I want to see what we can do. Like, we better go out and beat St. Joe's. Like, that's an important game early on.
Yeah, I think depending on how these games before Atlantis goes, like, if you lose to Providence, if you lose one that you're not expecting to St. Joe's, I think you got to win a couple in Atlantis. I hate doing this early in the season, but like those games become pretty. Those games all of a sudden become like really, really important. Versus like if you lose the battle for Atlantis, you're like, all right, like okay, we lost a early season tip-off tournament event.
Colorado State's not even – they're not bad.
No. And they've caused issues for Virginia Tech teams in the past. So, I never look past Colorado State.
But that Mason game, you're right, Ed. You would expect some Mason fans to be in attendance. Good historically, like Mason has a nice following. You might be going to the first Mason game of the season to watch KG coach against Wofford, right?
Yeah, I'm going to try to get over there. That's my hope for Monday is to get over to whatever they call that arena now and watch KG and Wofford. But yeah, it's an interesting schedule. Like looking at it, like you got Charleston Southern, and you got Providence. Like you said, that's going to be a good test. That's a good team. And then you have the St. Joe's one as well, Charlotte, Bryant, and then you go to Atlantis. But then you come back from Atlantis and you have Colorado State's in Atlantis. You come back and you have at South Carolina and then Mason.
Yeah.
So some pretty good tests. I think you have an opportunity to put together a nice non-conference record.
The way I look, like I kind of asked you guys to give me a record prediction because there's 13 out of conference games, and that I'm including like the game we don't even know who we're going to be playing in Atlantis, but like. There's like 6 gimmies on this. Like when I say gimme, it's like those teams that you're paying to come down there and they're like 200 plus in KenPom and you should beat them.
You mean like Jacksonville?
Yeah, like Jacksonville. Exactly. Exactly, Mike. But that's the thing. Like those teams on the cusp, like Charlotte, not that good of a team, but if you play bad, you could lose. But like I'm still considering that a win. Long story short, I think we get the 6 against the lower tier teams. So there's 7 left out of conference. Can you go 4-3 in the 7 tougher out of conference games? Can you have a winning record? Because 10-3 out of conference would be really nice.
Mike, you can go first.
Yeah. I think 9-10 is probably the sweet spot. Like, okay. I think there's one in there that we lose, whether it's Atlantis or I don't know. It would be a random one.
You're not going to lose to Maryland Eastern Shore. God forbid. I'm knocking on wood right now.
I'm not. No, I'm not chalking up to those. But like, I think it would have to be. I mean, the South Carolina game's gonna be tough. Like,
that's gonna be a tough game.
Could you lose to Mason? Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I hope not.
You
You
would hope
got a
not
better
at home.
team, but
yeah,
yeah.
that's a test. St. Joe's is a test. South Carolina and Atlantis is going to be really fun. I mean, Wichita is probably the worst team of the potential matchups, and it probably means we're not playing them because St. Mary's is probably going to beat them, and we're probably going to play St. Mary's if we were to beat Colorado State. So, all right, let's move to ACC. Let's start again with Ed. Like the best home games that you see on this schedule.
Yeah, I want my out of conference on the record. I said 10-3.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't know if you did, but 10-3. That's the same as I had.
Best home games. I thought I put some on here, but now they're not on here. I mean, Virginia, the first one I'd say is the most. That's gonna be the top of mind for most fans. We obviously play Duke at home as well, but I would say those are the two best ones. The toughest games, man, at Louisville, that's gonna suck. Duke, obviously, that's always a tough matchup. Seeing the exhibition highlights from Boozer, he's kind of a handful.
They've got 5 handfuls.
Yeah. And then at NC State and Will Wade and what they've got going on there. I mean, I guess here's an overall point. I could probably put it at the end, but I'll put it in here because I'm talking about 2 of those teams now, or I've mentioned all 3. We are a lot better. Our roster's a lot better. Our expectations are a lot higher. That goes for a lot of programs in the league right now. This is not like if we had this roster in last year's ACC, I'd feel really good. But it's not that. UVA will be a good team under Ryan Odom. They hired a great coach and he built a good roster. Ditto for NC State. Louisville might have the best backcourt in the entire country. Duke is Duke. So the league is in a way healthier place now than it's been the last 2 years. And that includes Virginia Tech, but I just did want to put that out there as I talk through some of these games that maybe fans aren't familiar. They're like, well, NC State stinks. They lost DJ Burns. They're not good anymore. No, they're stacked, and they hired a really good coach. Same for Virginia. They put in a really good roster. So the league is elevated this year.
The league is definitely should be better on the whole, but like Clemson was preseason number 4 in football. These things have a way of like getting. Look at Miami last year. Like we never thought they would be as awful as they were. So someone is going to suck. One of these teams we're expecting. It could be UNC, but like if you're asking me to map it out now, the toughest games: Duke, Louisville, UNC. The road game at SMU that should be problematic. At Miami for us is always tough, and they have to be better because they can't be worse. And then you get JPJ at the end of the year. The one saving grace I saw on the schedule, and I was looking for it. No trip to Boston College because
that is a house. Do we play them?
We play them, but it's at home.
Okay.
Yeah. Second last game of the year is BC. Second to last.
March 3rd. That'll be good for the bubble.
Yeah, let's hope so because we got to go to JPJ right afterwards. I'm excited. Like the best home games. I wanted to add this. Cal, that one's on my birthday, 110. But I'm planning to attend the following week. So Notre Dame. Talked about with Ed, like we're hoping to go. That's one of the best home games because I want to win it. I want to beat Shrewsbury, or if that might even saying his name right, and have a nice weekend down.
I'll be there. Weekend. That's gonna be awesome. Good call
out. Games you're excited about? UVA on New Year's Eve. We already talked about Duke a little bit. Like Duke is one of those teams. Like we get them in Castle, and they got a bunch of young players. Anything can happen. Where do you feel like our best chances for like a big upset are? Is that one of them?
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, you get them in Castle. That makes a huge difference. Like, I have a really hard time seeing us go to the KFC Center and beat Louisville. That seems unlikely to me. Just looking like what other games are in a big spot. I mean, at NC State, like Will Wade's an unbelievable coach, but
I had that one on my list.
Can you catch them in year 1? You know what I mean? Like, probably. You have a shot there, I think.
I have 3 on here. At SMU, at Clemson, at North Carolina. 3 road games against teams you're going to be jockeying for position with in all likelihood. I had those 3 as good upset chances, and they'll really only be upsets most likely because they're in their buildings. But I had 3 road wins against teams, or 3 road games where you get a couple wins against teams you're going to be fighting for that 6-7 spot in the league potentially. Those could be really important.
We play Wake tough a lot, and they are projected to be better than us. And I think Forbes has been good for them. That could be a mini upset on 1-3. We go to Wake. we also get them at home, which I wouldn't view as much of an upset. And then at Clemson, another team where I think we have some good matchups against them. And the same thing goes for NC State, like Mike was saying. That's a team that we've had some ugly games with, and we beat last year for a big win. We helped get Keats fired.
Yeah.
So, the NC State one's on my radar for sure. ACC record predictions. Like Ed said, we're better, but the conference is better. So we were 8-12 last year, trying to translate that over to an 18-game schedule. I guess that's 8-10-ish, or 9 not 9-9 because that's 500. So where are you guys coming in for your record predictions for this improved Hokies roster in the ACC?
I'm gonna go 11-7.
Oh yeah, Mike.
I think anything in that 10-12 win conference, like in conference play, would be like a fine range. Anything better than that would be like an unbelievable year. I'm going 11-7. I think there are 11 wins on there. I think there will be a couple losses that are going to be a giant headache and we're going to be real pissed about, but I think, we have a chance to pull an upset or two as well. And, yeah, I mean, I just told you 9-4 non-con. That puts me at 20-11. And I think with 11 ACC wins and improved league, I think you're a tournament team.
Yeah, I like that analysis.
I'm at 10-3 non-con, 11-7 conference. One win better than what Mike's got, 21-10. I think anywhere between 20 and 22 wins, you're obviously in. I think 20 should always be, not always, I guess, but that 20 you should be an NCAA tournament team
if you're a power conference team.
Yeah,
unless your schedule's like super weak.
Yeah, I don't really care what league you're in. If you win 20 games and don't make the tournament, I don't know what to tell you. It'd be really tough to be a fan base or an athletic director and be upset at a coach who won 20 games and didn't make a tournament. 20 wins is a really good season, no matter how you slice it in a power conference, like Pete said. I think they could be one win better out of conference. I think I don't know when we're going to plan to record again. It probably won't be till after Providence because I don't think we'll learn a whole lot from Charleston Southern. But if we get back on here and we're 2-0, I'll feel really good about myself.
Yeah.
Because if we beat Providence, that's one of the ones right now that I kind of have up in the air. Like, who are we and who are they? And if we come out and beat them and we're 2-0, I think that 22 wins is pretty attainable. But yeah, I'm gonna kind of go with that 11-7 number Mike had and 21 wins overall.
I thought you guys were gonna make fun of me for picking 10-8 because that's where I'm at, and you both went one higher than me. And I actually like us to potentially start 4-0 in the ACC. Now that involves beating UVA at home and beating Wake on the road, but then you get Stanford and Cal in your house. If you can go 4-0, that 11 mark becomes much more attainable. But what I was kind of looking at is because it does get a lot tougher after that, and 6-8 down the stretch. Start off 4-0. Finish 6-8, very reasonable at that point. And that's not how it's going to go, but that's how I'd like it to go. And if you get 10 there and 10 in the non-con, like Ed said, like you should be with how tough. Like there are some tough games, and even if they're not Q1s, I think they'll end up Q2s on the non-con. That this will end up being a pretty tough schedule.
The road league schedule is really hard. I remember when the schedule came out, that was the first thing I noticed was like, oh crap, this road schedule really sucks because you have SMU on the road, Wake, Syracuse, Louisville, NC State, Clemson, Miami, Carolina, and Virginia. A quick glance, Virginia, Carolina, maybe Clemson, definitely NC State, definitely Louisville, maybe SMU. Those are all bubble to guaranteed tournament teams, and you have them all on the road. So stealing road wins will be really important. If this team is able to grab a few road wins in the conference schedule, that'll go a long way because the road schedule is tough. And then the home schedule is a little bit easier. But the games they ended up with on the road, like you only play Louisville once on the road. You only play SMU once on the road. Now, granted, on the flip side of that, you play some of the easier league teams at home. But you kind of would rather have that reversed, right? So
would you rather have Duke at home or would you rather have UNC at home?
I'd rather have Duke at home, but my point is more like I would have rather had Louisville at home and gone to Boston College.
Well, don't say Boston College. But yeah, I know. I get the idea.
Gone to Georgia Tech, but
Yes.
instead we have those at home, and we have to go to the M Center, and we have to go to SMU, and that kind of thing. So,
what logical sense does it make for us to be now? We got the two Cali schools at home, but why are we going to SMU and not playing Pitt at all? Like Pitt is in our backyard, more or less. Like I don't know what kind of formula went into this. But wouldn't like cutting down on travel be at the top of that formula?
You'd think.
I don't know. I mean, I know it's hard to make these things and make it all fit. It's weird that we're not playing one of the teams when we play enough games to play all the teams.
Yeah.
It's we've gotten the conferences are too big to even play them all in basketball, let alone football.
Yeah.
But okay, so I'm at 20-11. You guys, I think Ed's at 21-10, and Mike is at 20 and what are you
20
at?
I'm at 20-11 as well.
Okay, because you were 9 out of conference.
Yeah.
I got
9
you.
out.
All right, guys. Well, that's it. Is there any parting thoughts you want to say about the team or how you're feeling heading into the Charleston Southern game?
Two bold predictions: Neo, first team All ACC, and Coach Mike Young, ACC Coach of the Year.
Oh, I think.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I think Tech gets 3 players on an all-ACC team. I'll take it a step further. I think Neo is first team all-ACC. Does ACC still do 6-man? I think Hammond has a chance there if they do. And then I think Jaden Shute, I think he plays his way into more rotation minutes as the season goes on because I think Tech's going to need his shooting. I could see a second or third team all ACC selection for Jaden Shute. Surprise, surprise.
Do you think so? Toby was what at like 12, 13 points last year. Do you think his points go up? And like, because I'm wondering with this new lineup and Neo coming in, and because we had a hard time generating offense. Like, I think he's capable of being like a 16-point a night guy, but will it be possible with the improved roster?
I don't know. A lot of it hinges on Neo.
Yeah, I mean, if Neo's dropping 20 a night, then it's not going to happen.
Which I don't think he will be. I think they've been saying they are trying to make him shoot the ball more because he is so pass first. I think his stat line will be like 14, 7, and 8 or something crazy like that. Like 7 assists, 8 rebounds, 14 points. There's gonna be nights when they need him to fill it up at a higher rate than he maybe wants to. But I think he really is pretty pass first, and they'll have to figure out the delicate balance.
Well, then here's a question: who leads us in points? Is it Neo, Lawal, Shute, and are there any other candidates?
Lawal. I think Lawal's going to catch a lot of balls that he doesn't have to do a whole lot with to put him in the hole.
No play type things.
Yeah. I mean, what I had heard at least about the Seton Hall scrimmage, not that we have a box score for it, was that Lawal and Dorn were the only two in double figures.
Yeah, Lawal he'll get to 10 pretty easily every night.
And that just tells you that if those two are your double figures guys, that means they were catching bunnies right around the hoop and dunking them.
Yeah.
So I think there'll be a lot of that, man. The passing is going to be a lot of fun with him and Neo.
Lawal did improve his shot. I mean,
he
did get
he
a
hit
little
2 of them
better.
in Duquesne. He can shoot the ball now.
Like it's not just going to be dunks from our high flyer. Like he's trying to round out that game, and if he does, then 15 points. And what would I asked you who would lead in points, but like, what is the point lead? Like, is it around 15? Is that probably what it is?
For college basketball, I'd say that's probably a reasonable expectation. Yeah.
All right.
I don't think we have like a Marcus Burton who's going to score 20 plus a night because he has to, because he's the only guy shooting the ball.
Yeah.
So no, I think that's probably about right.
Yeah, and if that is right, that means we probably have several guys in double figures, which is what you want out of a ball movement, offensive Mike Young kind of team. So
definitely
that was a fun way to end it, fellas. All right, so make sure you're subscribed. Sons of Saturday on YouTube. This Sons of Saturday podcast feed on Apple Podcast and Spotify. And until next time, when we're probably coming to you after Providence, but it'll definitely be after Providence. Enjoy the games, and we'll talk to you soon. Go Hokies.